All right, so I guess what I'll do is just walk through like how I'm using this right now so you can kind of see because Notion is very different than working with other tools. So let me get this up here because it doesn't necessarily work like the file folder. It does in some ways, but not exactly. So right now I am working on um, Tiffany's planning out our content day for tomorrow. So I've got it set up where I've got the client documents over here. So I can click into this and it'll pull up. There's our strategy guide for her. Um, Goes through what we're going to do with it. Um, so the client is the category. So this is where the document categorization comes in because this is a client document. I've got a link to it here because it also exists in Google where I wrote it. It's an active client, and this is a guide or strategy. So those are like the categorization tools that I need. So in that document database, these are, so here's the full table. So we've got categories, and this is what I was, so what you sent over as far as like business folders. So going from the, let me pull it up so I get it right here. Uh, so if we are looking at, where'd you go? If we're looking at the folders from like executive leadership down through, where to go? Operations. So HR, finance, business executive, marketing stuff. I think that's what would go in here, um, as opposed to templates and references, things like that. And then the type of document would sit here. So if it's an HR type document, so this would be, instead of organizational, this would be HR, then this would be a policy procedures document. But what I don't want to do is create so many different categorizations that it takes forever to work through. The other thing that I'm learning is that this breaks down. So this is a master list. So instead of creating an internal documents database for impact consulting and one for clients, I'm playing around with the idea of just listing it by project and client. So impact would be the client, and then clients would be their own, and then setting up filters. So you can set up different view filters. Like this breaks out just the client documents. So anything that's related to active clients would show up here in the client list. And so you can customize that. Whereas this list, which is um, the one that you have on your dashboard, that I put on your dashboard, breaks it down by where they are in the workflow. So like, see these here, we're in the workflow, but I don't want them to show up on your list because if I go to where you're at, where's it at? Aaron's ops page. I want your document list just to be the documents that are onboarding. So that way you can quickly jump into like a meeting prep checklist, which is right there. You don't need to see the transcript from another client. So I've got to filter these out, come up with a different filtering system for them. But I think it's pretty cool because once you do get to the clients and you start working with the client projects, like here, you can see where they're at in the process. So you can jump into um, Tiffany's over here, and then you will have access to all those documents. So it kind of pulls everything through in layers, not necessarily like folder structure, but more associative that way. So I'm still playing around with this, and I'll get it refined. Um, but like right now, what I'm doing is I'm going through making our content plan for tomorrow. So I've got Tiffany's 90-day plan. I've got a rough outline of, we're doing still photos and then we're doing a conversation between her and her lender. So I need to refine this. I didn't give it enough information, but I'm working inside of Tiffany's project here, which is Penfield Realty. But first, what I need to do is some deep research on Rockwood Home Builders, and I need. They're in Mount Juliet, or in Jolton. Home Builders in Jolton and Clarksville. I need a market analysis, company info, principles, info, values, mission, vision, any details about unique aspects of the company. Profile. So because Tiffany works, she's a realtor, but she also works for, she pre-sells homes for this builder. So I need to have in Tiffany's database of documents, and in that custom GPT, I need to have the Rockwood information. So this is going to take a little while to run, but this would be, so when we were talking about working with a realtor, this would be part of the build out for working with that realtor, getting their market research and all of the background data, so then we can customize their assistant to it, which then informs the content creation, which you're familiar with on the content engine side of it. So I will let that run, but I need to adjust this, and then I'll show you how I'm going to make a document. Have a set of for Tiffany. Lori. Lori's name was, what was Lori's name? Lori is her lender that she's going to be working with. And yeah, Lori Reed, that's it. And mortgage. Let me see, I'll grab this here. Copy. So I'm putting this into the research. Sales manager, New American Funding. So what we're going to be doing is just a couple shorts, making some short, like little reels and videos, but they're going to have a conversation. So we wanted to do commonly asked questions that we can use. Buyers in Tiffany's ideal market. Lori helps answers those questions. So I'm just building out the framework of how we're scripting out the day. So I'm making my plan. So now that I've got this, closing. So there's some prompt questions to go through. So I'm going to copy these, and because I like these, I'm going to go into Notion, and I'm going to make a new page, and this is going to be content day, and tomorrow is 11th, 11 August 25. So that just creates a new document or a new page. Then I go into here, and I can work on this and put everything in there. So I'm going to put that information in. The category is, this is a client document. Phase is actually active because it's a working one. It goes to that project. And this is a script or content guide. Like there's another categorization thing that I need to look at. So what I'll do is I'll build this out. So that way I've got a working guide that I can reference when I go on site, and I'll build out even more details on it, like the recommended photos to get. Eventually I'll probably produce a template for this page, so it'll be a content guide page that we do, but this will keep everything inside of Tiffany's project. So as we go back, we'll have it here. And then when we go to create the content from that, we'll get the products. So I need to have a link to the content folder. This is where the content engine moved to. So we'll come up with new ideas based on that. Edit them, review them, run them through. And this got out of order, but we'll fix it. So anyways, that's how this will all set up. So from this one page, from Tiffany's one page, I should be able to have access to all the necessary documents, as well as tasks that are related. So I need to put my tasks in here for things that I need to do, and I need to build out that view. And yeah, so that's how I'm looking at managing clients. So I know that's kind of around the world, but I just wanted you to see, like, as I'm building yours out, I'm also linking back and forth to this. And it's very intuitive once you start playing with it. You've got access to it. Go ahead and poke around and see what you can do. If you got questions, by all means, ask, and we'll go from there. Let me know what you think. All right, later.